Okay, cool. Yeah, I think we are live in YouTube and also Discord. Just a moment. Okay, cool. Yep. So once again, welcome back everyone. Thank you so much for being a part of this session. A very good evening to everyone. So before I proceed further, can you quickly confirm, can all of you see my screen and hear my voice clearly? I'm live in YouTube and Discord both, so you can confirm me by using the chat option in Discord and also using the live chat in YouTube. So with your confirmation, I would like to proceed. All right, thank you for the confirmation. Just give me a moment. Well, so once again, welcome back everyone. Before I proceed further, this entire session, the analysis on Nifty and Bank Nifty on using order flow tools, which is powered by True Data. And a quick disclaimer before I just give me a moment. Yeah, a quick disclaimer. Anything that I'm going to share from now onwards is going to be a educational purpose information only. Don't consider it as a buy or sell recommendation. Any decision that you take in trading or stock market investing are subject to market risk. So let's quickly get into the subject. Today I have planned to discuss three important points. Number one, the context of the market. That's always I discuss in my session. And importantly, I'm going to discuss one of the concept, which is like open relationship with where the market opened and how the market can behave or can form the pattern based on the open of today. So that I will be discussing. And second, I will be discussing about the footprint chart that are being offered by the Bookmap tools. So how to utilize the footprint information effectively. And final thing is that how can we utilize that information along with the absorption indicator so that we can take effective decisions. So these are the important points that I'm going to share in today's session. All right. So let's quickly, just a moment. Just a moment. Okay. All right. So let's quickly get into the subject. Before I proceed, the basic thing that I always discuss in my session that we go by the framework. Okay. So once you get that, then we will understand what will be the importance of open. That is the open of today with respect to the previous day behavior. So there is a interlink between both of that information. So that I will be discussing. So first thing is that what exactly the context that we look for when we want to get into any particular trade. So we don't take a random decisions. We have certain framework. In that, the first thing is to identify the trend. So as in like in terms of the price, where the primarily market is primarily heading. That's the point one. And then we have L, that means a location where we can probably get into the trade and where we can get out of the trade. So where specifically where we can monitor the price action of the market. That's the second thing. Yeah. And third thing is basically the entry and exit, how we can take entry and exit. So this is a basic framework we follow in every session. And the first step is to identify the trend. In simple words, basically to understand the price behavior of the present moment. If the overall market is making higher highs and higher lows, then we will consider it as an uptrend. If the market is making lower lows and lower highs, then we will consider it as a downtrend. If the market is making no decisive movement in either direction, then we will consider it as a choppy market or the sideways market. Once the trend is clear, then we will identify the location. That means where the, in simple words, it's nothing but the support and resistances, immediate support and immediate resistances. And specifically, like if it's moving in upward direction, the last swings can also be the locations where we can monitor the price action. This is the second step. And third is entry and exit. That's exactly where we will be using Bookmap charts, and I will show certain information using the basic today's market activity. All right. So if this is clear to you, then we can move on to the next information, which is where the market opened. So for example, let's say this is the entire day's range of yesterday. Assume this is a range of previous day, and we will compare today's open with the previous day open. Okay, so especially this is very critical information for the intraday traders. In that sense, assume that at any given condition, market opened above this particular range or below this range, basically beyond the previous day range, then we will consider it as imbalance open. Okay, imbalance open within the market day. If the market opened within anywhere within the previous day range, then we will consider it as a balanced open. All right. So in that perspective, whenever market opens an imbalance, that means there is a lot of heat in the market. And when this happens, probability or kind of chances of market moving or giving a good momentum in one particular direction, or maybe a good movement possibility, is quite high when market open imbalancedly. Okay, so basically beyond previous day range. If it opens within the previous day range, then the balanced kind of movement can be expected in the market. So in most of the cases, market tend to stay within the previous day range, or if it also makes a directional movement, so there will not be a bigger momentum in the market. So I hope this is clear. Yeah, just a moment. Cool. So if this information is clear to you, okay, let's try to understand in the chart what exactly happening with respect to the context, and then we will come to the bookmap charts. So basically, as I said, I'm going to concentrate today on footprint charts, specifically on footprint charts and absorption indicator, which are offered in bookmap pro version, bookmap India pro version. So let's try to understand what exactly happening with respect to the price. So right now I'm using 30-minute chart. Okay, as you can see, this is a 30-minute chart. The moment you look at the chart, you can see two information. So just a moment. As we can see from this point, okay, so from this particular point, market started to moving in downward direction, and there is one strong, pullback from the lower end. And right now, again, market is approaching to the same level. So basically, this particular level. So at the given point of time, obviously with respect to the price pattern, as you can see, market is continuously making lower lows and lower highs. All right, lower lows and lower highs, until unless the market moves in this particular direction, we can expect downward momentum. All right, so with respect to that context, okay, so I want to link it to the present day information, which is, assume that we were here. Okay, so from today's market is from this range to this range, right? So this entire range is the today's market. It is very clearly evident that after breaking of last swing low, market is making continuous lower lows and lower highs. So with respect to that, we had a shorting opportunity for today's market in terms of the overall bias of the market, or considering the trend of the market, at least till this particular low. This is one of the context. Okay, so we were looking for a short trade opportunity. And second important information in the same way, where we have the possible locations that we can monitor. Okay, so in that sense, we have an immediate major support at 17,830, and considering today, assume that you are seeing the market today morning. So in that sense, we have a level of last swing high here. So with that sense, considering market was moving in the lower lows and lower high formats, until unless price sustains above this particular range, then until this happens, until price sustains above this range, we can short the market. That was the basic context of the market. So this is the importance of having the structure or having the kind of a framework where we will identify the basic trend of the market, and we will try to align with that direction with a upcoming analysis. So if this is clear to you, let's try to understand what exactly happened or what is happening with the bank nifty chart. Just a moment. So this is where we have a bank nifty futures, And meanwhile, if you have any particular questions, try to take a note of it and feel free to ask them in the Q&A session. So I'll be happy to answer them. Just a moment. So if we look at the bank nifty information, that's also here also the same kind of a context. So, but one of the important point that we need to consider here is that market took the short movement, whatever we are seeing now, the bearish momentum has started from this point. That means the last swing high, major swing high. So with that context, we can clearly assume that the market is presently trading within this particular bracket. Okay, this is point one. And right now, with an immediate momentum, we can clearly see that the market was moving in the lower low and lower high format. With that context, definitely looking for a shorting opportunities make all sense until unless price sustains and accepts above this particular level. That was the context. All right. So with that sense, we'll look for shorting opportunities both in bank nifty and nifty in this example. Okay. So once this is clear to you, okay, we have identified the immediate support and resistances for the market. Right here we have an immediate support, and for today's market, assume that we are here, and with respect to that, this particular level, the last previous day low was also important. So as we were discussing, open relationship with the previous day range. So let's try to understand that in the nifty in the first place. As you can see, in this case, the market opened within the previous day range. This is the opening candle of the market, and this is where the market opened 18,070, which is within the previous day range. As you can see, we saw the extension. Okay, so we saw the extension, but not to the greater momentum. Even the market failed to reach the last support itself. That's exactly what I was saying. So when market opens within the previous day range, then the possibility of a bigger momentum decreases a lot. So let me give another example where market opened. This is a classical example I want to give you. So as you can see in this day, okay, so this is an opening candle and market opened below the previous day low, and you can clearly see the kind of momentum that we got on that day. So this is exactly the point I was mentioning. So with this context, okay, one thing is that market opened within the previous day range, and second important thing is that price is presently trending in the downward direction, and we have an immediate locations where we can look for price action and then take the then observe the price action when price approaches to that levels. If this is clear to you, then we move on to the next step, which is the bookmap chart, where we will take decisions of entry and exits in so many ways. So today I have considered to explain footprint chart and absorption indicator in a detailed manner. All right. So first thing is that before we understand these advanced indicator, we need to understand the base indicator that are being offered here. Okay, so which is nothing but the BBO indicator. As you can see, the red and green lights that we are seeing presently is called as a BBO indicator. In simple words, the best bid and best offer which is available at the present moment. So bookmap chart beautifully stores that data. The advantage of this data is that if I enable the candlestick chart, okay, if I enable the candlestick chart, just give me a moment. Yeah, it's a 15-minute candlestick chart. As you can see, this was the first 15-minute candle. All right. When we see the candlestick chart, we will be able to see the open, close, high and low. But the BBO indicator shows the pattern that is being forming within the candlestick. So within the specific time interval, as you can see, this was the entire structure. For example, assume this was a descending triangle, and after that it breaks the high. It is not a direct concluded price or kind of a executed price, but it is a best bid best offer available at that specific point of time that will be stored historically. With respect to that, we will be able to see the pattern within the specific interval. So you can call it as an kind of a 3D data where you can see what is happening within the candlestick. All right. The advantage of this indicator or advantage of using this chart is that you can get into the trade early. Just an example, okay, consider it an example. Assume that you are looking for a long opportunities, okay, and you are seeing a descending triangle, and after the break of this particular triangle, you can take the entry. But in the candlestick chart, we have to wait for the first 15-minute or any time interval. what does the blue dotted line indicates? Just a moment. I think that those are the line that I have drawn. There are no blue lines. I think those are the lines that I'm drawing. So I'm explaining while showing the pattern. All right. Yeah, that's basically the advantage of using the BBO indicator. So when we use bookmap charts, we try to concentrate on the BBO indicator so that we can get into the trade early and we can get out of the trades early. We can use this particular indicator or we can use this particular graph like we use the price action. For example, let's say if the BBO indicator making higher highs and higher lows, that means market is presently moving in the upward direction. Considering that you are looking for a long trade, you can look for the break of last BBO swing. So don't worry how to identify the effective swings. I will definitely get into that particular thing right now. But BBO indicator can be used to identify the structure within a specific interval and we can get into the trade or we can get out of the trade earliest comparing to the candlestick trading. All right. So this is the first bear indicator that we use when we open the bookmap chart. And in this, right now I have added an absorption indicator. And after this, I will come to the footprint chart information. Okay. So I hope this is clear. Okay, in previous chart, Sachin is asking a question. What does the blue dotted line indicates? I think there are no blue dotted lines. If you are asking about the dots, please confirm me once. Is it about the dots that you are seeing? There are no blue lines that I am presently seeing on the chart. Just a moment. All right. So let's try to understand absorption indicator in a detailed manner. Okay. So there were a lot of questions also about this particular indicator in the last session. If you go to the configure add-ons, okay, by default, you will not be able to install the absorption indicator by default. Okay, number in the okay, if you are asking about this dotted lines, these are the nothing but the swing identification that is done by the software itself. So I'm presently using NinjaTrader software to plot my charts and using the true data feed for this. So basically you can go to the indicators, right click and go to the indicators and then you can add swing करके एक swing indicator है. So that you can use and you will be able to see the swing highs and swing lows automatically. That will be identified. All right. So let's straight away move on to this. So we were about to discuss about we were discussing about the absorption indicator. So by default you will not be able to get it. You have to visit to the bookmap website. So first thing is that you should have bookmap India Pro version in order to use all those indicators, and you can see cumulative volume delta, point of control indicator, VWAP, correlation tracker, absorption indicator. All these indicators are included in this particular package. All right. If you want to download the add-ons, you need to visit bookmap.com and go to more. Just a moment. Go to more and knowledge base. And then visit this add-ons. Okay, so as you can see in the knowledge base, if you visit the add-ons, yeah, so at the left corner you can see all the add-ons that are being offered. So you can, so for example, if say absorption indicator, if you visit that, you'll be able to see the information of all the information about that particular indicator. And this is where you have the link to download the indicator. Once you download it, you'll get the Java file, and you simply need to go to the add-ons. For example, in this case, go to the configure add-ons and click add. Then you have to import. These are the indicators that I have downloaded from the website, and the same has been uploaded to this particular add-on box. All right. Once that is done, you'll be able to see the indicator here. First thing is that there is a condition involved in absorption indicator. All right. So for example, when I click on absorption indicator, right? So the first thing is that this is the setting box. This is so critical important here, because in this we have two important settings. First thing is that right now it is automatic mode. That means automatically the absorption indicator will be calculated, the order that we are presently seeing here. What exactly it means? You can clearly see that if within 2.5 seconds, okay, 2.5 seconds, the traded volume was greater or equal to this particular quantity, then consider it as an absorption. All right. So there are two modes here. One is automatic mode. Right now it is in automatic mode. If I disable it, I'll be able to control this particular number manually. For example, let's say if I put it as 5000, you can clearly see whenever there was a condition where within 2.5 seconds, 5000 quantities got executed. What is the logic behind it? This is so important to understand, because see, we are calling it as absorption. That means someone has to be consuming the orders that are being placed. So how we can conclude it? So in that sense, for example, let's say market is moving upward direction. Okay, so consider market is moving in upward direction, and suddenly we saw the reversal. Okay, that means someone entered, the seller who entered here was strong enough to defend the price and also move the price in the opposite direction of the initial direction. Point one. And what this particular condition does is assume that in this case, within 2.5 seconds, okay, within 2.5 seconds, 5000 quantities got executed. Those are the market buy orders. Okay. If that is a market buy orders which got executed within 2.5 seconds, the question here is who consumed those orders? So definitely for every market order that we place, if we are placing a market buy order, one particular market buy order, there has to be the passive sell order against to it. So there has to be the passive order or limit order that has to be there in terms of the selling order. So that is what consumed this order. That is exactly the logic behind absorption. If within fraction of seconds, such big quantities are getting executed, and also at the same time, that means someone is passively consuming that kind of big quantity within fraction of seconds. So which clearly gives us a hint that someone is smartly collecting those orders who are who are placing market orders. Those will be consumed, or those are getting consumed as the passive orders. So with that sense, we will consider this particular condition as an absorption. So in simple words, assume that market is moving upward direction, and when we see the absorption, right, the selling absorption, that indicates the presence of passive seller. And when that happens, in most of the cases, we see the immediate reversals. Okay, it doesn't mean that when we see the absorption, we need to short the market. I will definitely come to the point. Action point I will discuss later. Try to understand the logic behind it. All right. So I hope this is clear. Assume that in the same case, someone again entered here. Okay, so lot of selling orders consumed within fraction of seconds, and immediately market started moving in the initial direction of the trend. So that means we are also seeing an absorption here. So we can use the absorption in two ways. First thing is to identify the effective swings. All right. So let me give you an example. So if I zoom in a bit, all right. So today's chart, if I zoom in a bit, you'll be able to see. Let me disable the absorption indicator in the first place, then you will be able to see a lot of differences. So just based on the BBO indicator, you can clearly see there are a lot of fluctuations. All right, a lot of fluctuations, which we cannot consider for every single time. We cannot consider all the swings. All right. With that sense, we can use the absorption indicator to identify the effective swings. If I enable it, all right. So you can clearly see right now, I don't have to confuse. So this is where we have a effective swing, this is where we have an effective swing, this is where we have an effective swing provided. Okay, so market was not moved opposite direction. In that sense, we cannot consider this as a swing, but here market moved in the opposite direction after the absorption present. So in that sense, we can use the absorption indicator for identifying the specific swing which has more significance. Why it is important is that, assume, okay, so this is an example. We were looking for a short trade. Okay, so as per the context, we were looking for a short trade, and after waiting for first 5 or 15 minutes, okay, so after waiting for 5 or 15 minutes, now we know that this is where the absorption is, and we are also seeing a immediate correction. That means it's a valid swing and valid absorption. In that sense, provided we are looking for a shorting opportunities, we want this level to be broken off. So in that sense, if the market breaks, so the break of this particular level can be the entry trigger for us, where we can keep our stop loss. That's exactly where the application of absorption indicator comes into. So last absorption was somewhere around here. As you can see, this is where the absorption happened, the green dot. That's where we can keep our stop loss. After breaking of last absorption, this is where the another break of last absorption happened, and after that we can simply trail our stop loss to the next absorption level. So first thing is to identify the effective swings, we can use the absorption indicator, point 1. And point 2, we can also use this information in order to trial the stop losses. Okay, so our first stop loss got triggered here. Okay, so our entry was here and first stop loss got triggered here. No problem, we are still looking for a shorting opportunity where we can short. Now you are very clear that this is where we have the absorption, and we are also seeing the effective swing, and we can short below this particular level. This was the entry trigger, and after that we can keep our immediate stop loss to the last absorption, and we can keep trailing our stop loss until unless our stop loss triggers. So for the last second trade, this was the stop loss trigger further. All right, so how many trades we can trade? Well, it depends on the style of an individual. So one can use this particular indicator, the absorption indicator, in order to scalp also. For example, the earlier example that we were discussing was basically the break of the BBO indicator swings, right? So it was a breakout kind of a trade. If you are not a breakout trader, if you want the discounted trades, for example, if you want to look at the pullback entries, you can also do that. For example, assume, considering the same context, we are looking for a shorting opportunities, and market moved in the upward direction significantly, and we saw the absorption here. Okay, we saw the absorption. As you can see, 5100 quantities got executed at this particular level within 2.5 seconds. That indicates an presence of passive seller. All right, with that sense, the immediate swing. All right, so as you can see, one thing is that if you are an aggressive scalper, you can immediately take a short trade here. But if you are a little conservative but still not too conservative, so in that sense you can wait for another swing to form, and after that you can immediately short if the market breaks that particular swing. For example, in this case, this can be our one more short trigger. But for all this, the context is very important. We are looking for a shorting opportunities based on the price context that we have discussed in the initial stage. So that's why having the context is the first thing, and after that you can utilize this information in order to align with that particular context. All right, if this is clear to you, then we can move ahead and understand the footprint charts. By any chance, if you have any particular questions, you can post in the live chat. I'll try to answer it if you have any particular questions, or we can straight away move on to the footprint charts. Any particular questions with respect to the discussions we had so far? Well, so just give me a moment. So if the absorption indicator clear to you, then we can move on to the next indicator that I plan to discuss today, which is footprint charts. Okay, so just give me a moment. Footprint charts, you don't need to specifically download it or additionally download it. So it will be available directly when you have a bookmap open. So there will be an indicator footprint by default installed. So you can simply enable it. There are so many options, so many settings here. So I'll try to cover it a step-by-step process. Okay. So first thing is that the bar type. All right. So this is how the footprint chart looks like. So don't worry how to utilize this information. I'll definitely come to that point. Footprint bar type right now it's selected as time interval. So there are four ways by which you can plot the footprint. First thing is time interval. That means from this point to this point, or assume 5-minute interval, 15-minute interval. Some people use 5 minutes, some people use 15 minutes. So based on your price action trading or your price monitoring, based on that you can select the time interval. Right now I use 15-minute charts in order to monitor the price behavior in the candlestick charts. In that sense, I want to look into the 15-minute candlestick chart, what is happening with respect to the footprint information. So for that, I'm using time interval. There are different ways. Reversal, based on the reversal also you can calculate. For example, market is moving in downward direction and there is an immediate reversal. If that reversal is in this, just a moment, I will show you. So if you select the reversal, I have selected as 20 tick. That means whenever there is a 20 points correction opposite to our initial movement, then the new bar will be formed. New footprint bar will be formed. So that we don't want. Range is specifically like for how many range. For example, market, if market moves, in this case 20 I have selected as a tick. For every 20-point movement of the market, there will be a new bar in terms of the footprints. So you can also use this information if you are like, for example, if you are monitoring in the footprint charts in US markets and all. So you can use this particular information. And then you can go to the volume. So with respect to the volume also, so much of for example, in this case I have selected as 50,000 quantities. So if the 50,000 quantities executed at any given point of time, so at that particular point of time the new bar will be formed with respect to the footprint bar. All right. So in that sense we are presently using time interval for it. So 15-minute time interval, because that's where I monitor the price action in terms of the 15-minute candlestick charts. That's why I want to see the information, the order flow information within the 15-minute candlestick charts, and hence I'm using 15-minute time interval chart. So bar width is nothing but the width of this particular bar. You can change this according to your settings. So for example, by default setting is 80. So I'm not going to change anything. So 80 I have kept it as it is. Horizontal smart scaling. All right. So it's nothing but it's highly recommended to keep it active. So basically it scale the information, the footprint information according to your zoom in and zoom out activity. So hence I'm keeping it as active. So then comes the background type. All right. The information that you are seeing. So just a moment, let me zoom in a bit and show you. Just a moment. Yeah. So this is the footprint chart information that we see when we configured here. All right. So in that sense, presently we are just give me a moment. So as we can see here, with respect to the background type, so right now don't concentrate on the text, concentrate on the graphics. Okay, so that graphics is nothing but the background type. Right now I have selected as delta plus and minus. What it means to say is that at any given point of time, okay, there will be a market buy orders, there will be a market sell orders. Okay, so that will be recorded and that will be shown here. So whatever the information that you are seeing at the right, you are seeing the buying. This is the point where 16,300 quantities got executed as a market buy order and 4,000 quantities got executed as a market sell orders. So in that sense, it will relatively compare all the information. That's exactly the importance of histogram delta plus and minus, which shows us both buying and selling presence. So if it's mentioned in green, that means that indicates a presence of aggressive buying or a market buying. If it is red, then it indicates a market sell. So you can clearly see here 28,700 quantities got executed as a market selling. Comparing to that, 22,250 quantities got executed as a market buy. So definitely at that particular stage, sellers were dominant, and hence the overall graph is showing as red. Okay. So with this information, when we keep it as histogram delta plus and minus, we will be able to see where the maximum number of orders got placed. For example, the entire bar, this is where we are seeing a maximum number of transactions, okay, at this particular price level. That is the number one information we get. And the second immediate information that we can get from this particular chart is that, okay, this is where we are seeing a maximum number of transactions. What is the behavioral factor, or what is the behavior of that particular orders? As we can clearly see here, that it is indicated by the green color. Why? Because 83,350 quantities got executed as a market buy orders. Hence, the aggressiveness at this particular price level were more with respect to the buyers. So buyers were more aggressive in this particular price level. First thing is that where the maximum number of orders are getting placed, that is the point information, number one information we get. And second information, what is the behavior of those orders, whether they are a market buy orders or market sell orders. So you can ask, what is the use of it, where we can use this information? Don't worry, I will definitely discuss about that. Let's try to understand the setting in the first place, and after that I will explain you the use cases using both footprint and also the absorption indicators. So this is about the histogram delta plus and minus. There are different settings as well. You can simply put the histogram, which only shows you, it will not show you whether it was a buy and sell order, but it will only show the kind of volume profile. Okay, volume profile of that particular specific interval. So another thing you can do is histogram diagonal delta plus and minus. So it is also an indication where we will be able to see diagonally we can compare both the buy and sell order. So earlier the chart was only showing as a volume profile, but now it is showing the if there are any red charts. Okay, so let me show you another chart and show you how it looks like. Just a moment. Yeah, this is one of the good example. As you can see here, that earlier with respect to so as you can see here, that when we select diagonal delta, so it will show the chart. Okay, for selling it shows the separate chart, for buying it shows the separate chart. We don't want to look into this kind of information, so there are people who monitor this as well, but personally I use histogram delta plus and minus. The reason is that it shows one particular chart and the profile of the chart, and second also where we can see the maximum number of transactions and also the behavior after transaction. So all the conditions that we want to monitor as in like order flow charts, so that we can get when we select histogram delta plus and minus. So all other information are nothing but the different way of looking into the background of the information. So this is a histogram buy and sell. We are able to see buy and sell separately, and full background single color. So basically it shows the complete block. All right, so you can also see full background delta plus and minus. It is a delta plus and minus only, but it will only show us the difference in the entire box, not as a profile. So we will not get the profile here. So hence I'm using histogram delta plus and minus. With respect to that, we can see the profile and also the behavior of the orders. All right, so color according to your need you can change this. Use shades. So this is one of the recommended option to keep it active, because if I disable it, you will be able to see whether it is a market buy or market sell. That's it. But you will not be able to see the significance of that particular market buy or market sell. So if I enable it, you'll be able to see the one level, the level that is marked, dark green. All right, so that indicates the more number of orders. All right, so that gives us a good visualization and also good differentiation. Immediately we can notice the change in the market, and hence I am not changing, so I am using this particular option, use shares. Okay, so transparency according to your need you can change this. More the transparent, more the if you keep it more, so transparency will be more of the chart. So I'm going to keep it as a default setting. I'm not changing anything. is background right aligned, so it's nothing but the alignment of the chart. As you can see, it is when I select it as right aligned, so it will be the graph will be shown at the right. So this also according to your need you can change, but I'm not changing anything over there. Then comes the footprint type. Okay, the information that we have seen here is of the chart, but now the information that we are selecting here is for the text that we are seeing now. All right now buy into sell, that means it is showing, this is the right side that we are seeing is market buy orders, and this is where we are seeing a market sell orders. Okay, these are the sells, these are the buys, but you can change this also. If I select it as sum, it will show the entire summation of that particular level. For example, this point to this point 2750 quantities got executed. This is nothing but the total number of orders that got executed, which we can see using the text here. Horizontal delta, so it shows us the delta information. So earlier it was a total numbers, but now it is showing only the delta. For example, if I select as buy and to sell, you can clearly see 1650 quantities executed as a market buy, 1100 quantities executed as a market sell. Market buy minus market sell. All right, so in this case it's a positive delta only, positive number only. So around how much, this is the number. So this is the delta information itself. All right, so with this information, for example, in this case, okay, so it is showing as 18,000. Okay, 18,000 means it's a positive delta. That means market buy orders were executed more here. How much? 18,000 difference. So around 18,000 quantities additionally executed at this particular price level as market buy orders. That means it indicates a dominance of the aggressive buyers. All right, so and then we have a diagonal delta. It's nothing but the calculation of it. So basically 5,500 and 5,500. So automatically it will compare it to this and it will add it here. So basically the diagonal calculation of it. So personally, I like to use either buy into sell or horizontal delta. All right, so either one we can use for getting the information. If this is clear to you, then the text positive color and negative color you can change that. If you intend to do that, you can change it here. And maximum font size is 14. I haven't changed anything. This is the maximum font size. If you increase it, so font size will be increased also. And then we have each text right aligned, left aligned. So it's nothing but same, like similar to the this right and left alignment that we have seen here. I haven't changed anything over here. It's a default setting. Then comes a critical information. Crypto rounding, I'm not changing anything over there. Tick multiplier is an important critical parameter that we need to have a control on. This is nothing but the price range that we want to keep. For example, when I am subscribing to this instrument, okay, assume that if I want to subscribe to any new instrument, all right, so it will ask for a tick size. You can see 1.5, 0.1. Make sure that if you want to use the footprint, give it as 1. Okay, 1 means 1. Okay, so 1 point movement. So right now the subscription is selected with a 1 point tick size. With respect to that, if I again go to the add-ons, if I again go to the add-ons, 3 I have given it as a tick multiplier. So the tick that you have selected is 1 and the multiplier you are giving it as 3. 3 multiplied by 1, how much? 3. So what software does is, assume that this is 100. Okay, this is an example. When market moves to another 3 points, 100, 103. So this entire range will be considered to calculate the numbers here, calculate the order flow information. Okay, so if I change this, okay, if I change it as 6, assume 6, you can clearly see the bar width has automatically changed. So hence it is important to have the right number over here according to the visual appearance of the chart. And also for Nifty, I'm presently using it as 3 because it gives a clear visual, visual of the entire order flow information. Okay, so this is point 1, and we can simply multiply this number by 2 for Bank Nifty. For Bank Nifty, we can use 6 as the tick multiplier. That means for every single 3 points, we are trying to monitor the footprint chart information. I hope these settings are clear. Now comes the important point, how we can utilize this information. Ultimately, that's what is the important point, right? So that is what we want to understand. Well, in the explanation itself, there is an answer. For example, as I said, it gives us two important information. First thing is that what is happening with respect to the orders of, with respect to the volumes of that particular specific interval, what is happening. So that is the first information we get, the profile. All right. So just give me a moment. Let me enable the candlestick and show you, because that will be an easier thing to understand. So you can see this particular time interval. Okay. So this entire interval, market moved in the downward direction, market closed here. Okay, market closed here. But one of the important point that we want to notice, okay, so when we see the footprint charts, we will be able to see the profile within the entire specific interval. As you can see, when I see the 15-minute information over here, this is where the maximum number of transactions happened, point 1. And point 2, okay, point 2 is that what kind of orders they are. Are they market buy orders or are they market sell orders? So definitely in this case, they are the market buy orders. Well, that is clear. But the next question is how the price behaved, how the price moved after this particular information occurred. Once there is an aggressiveness, two things can happen. If they are very strong buyers, the price should have continued in the upward direction. But in this case, the price has closed at this stage. That means the price closed below this particular level, which was the highly transacted level and also controlled by aggressive buyers. So with this particular information, we can clearly see that in this entire transaction, all right, the one who entered aggressively to the market buy orders here are getting trapped. How? Because they are placing a market buy orders, but market, instead of moving upward direction, it moved in the opposite direction. So someone passively consumed these maximum number of orders or transactions at the seller level or in the selling side, which is a critical information that we can use it from footprint charts and we can look for shorting opportunities. So first thing is that it is aligning with respect to the initial context that we have discussed. With that sense, we can keep our stop losses to this particular level, point 1. And most importantly, okay, so the main application or main use case of the footprint chart is to validate and invalidate the entry setup. All right, let me give an example what exactly I'm talking about. Okay, so assume this is where we have a resistance. Okay, this is an example. This is where we have the resistance and market approach to this level. As per our context, we are looking for a shorting opportunities. And after completion of the 15-minute candlestick, okay, we get this particular information. All right, with that, we are seeing a maximum number of transactions, the aggressive buyers here, and price closed below our resistance level. So first thing is that we are looking for a shorting opportunities, and second thing is that the entire transaction that we are seeing here is also supporting our information. Even though if you are not using absorption indicator, just by looking into this information, you can simply short below this particular candle. All right, for example, in this case, assume instead of this, okay, if the profile has formed like this, okay, maximum number of orders are getting placed here, even though it is closed negatively, okay, even though the market closed in the negative bias, if the market buy orders, more number of buy orders accumulated at the lower end, in that case, there is still a chance to break this particular level. This is one of the critical information we get from footprint charts. I hope this is clear to you. Please make sure if you have any particular questions, feel free to ask them in the question in the live chat box. So I'll be happy to answer them. First thing is that the footprint charts can be utilized especially to validate and invalidate the trade. So in this case, the second example that I have given, that invalidates my trade. For example, assume that we were just monitoring the price action and looking the candlestick information, and after we are seeing a red candle, we are happy to short the market at the low of that particular candle. But when we have an information within the candlestick charts, kind of footprint information, we can, one thing is that it adds up the conviction and also it helps us to identify the cautions. All right, so at any given point of time, we don't want market buy orders at the lower levels when we want to short. So this is a kind of context we can get from the entire footprint charts, and we can utilize this information in order to validate the first example. Right now it is a validation of the trade because it is supporting our context, so it is validating. If it is not, then it is invalidating the trade. In that sense, even just if we are using the absorption indicator but it is showing a different information, then we can pause our information and we can look for further confirmation, so we can avoid unnecessary trades using the footprint charts. I hope the context is clear. If you have any particular questions, feel free to ask in live chat. I'll be happy to answer the questions. All right, so how we can combine both the information? Well, so I try to monitor the overall footprint charts in a separate window itself. Okay, so just give me a moment. And four important locations I specifically monitor for my intraday trade. So first is that the previous day high and previous day low. All right, so when price approaches to those level, I will be more cautious and I will try to monitor what is happening in the 15-minute candlestick charts. And second, when it approaches to the IB high, IB low, for example, let's say if the market after completion of the first 1 hour, we have the range, right? So that range we will call it as a IB range. So when market forms the first 1 hour range, I will also try to monitor when price approaches to these levels. I'll try to monitor the footprint charts in the 15-minute. Okay, so 15-minute is not a thumb rule. You can also utilize 5-minute footprint charts. The idea remains the same. Okay, we just don't depend on the just simply the candlestick information. We try to look into the candlestick charts and what is happening with respect to the orders, and then we will try to conclude it. All right, so that's it from my end, and we can combine both the indicator. All right, so for example, in this case, for entry and exit, definitely the absorption indicator is a very kind of a beautiful indicator for us because it clearly helps us to identify the possible swings. This is where we have the strength in terms of the swings, so we can immediately notice those swings. All right, and since provided we are looking for a shorting opportunities, we can simply look for as like say break of last swings. Okay, break of last swing lows, or we can also look for if there are any resistance if the price approaches to those levels in terms of the BBO indicator. If we see the confirmation in the footprint charts, how more number of transactions has to happen in terms of the buying orders and price has to close below this particular level. That's a brilliant setup to get into the short trade, and we can use the absorption indicator to trial our stop losses as and when the price continues to move in our original direction or the trade direction. Right, so I hope this is clear. This is it from my end for today's session. If you have any particular questions, feel free to ask in the comment section. Sorry, the live chat option. Just a moment. Any particular questions? So far, I want to summarize the overall discussion that we had today. So first thing is the context. So basically a TLE framework I have explained. T means trend, L means location, E means entry and exit. So first thing is to identify the trend of the overall price. Basically to understand the context wherein the market moving presently, it is in sideways or upward trend and downward trend. And with respect to that, we will plan our trade. This is step 1. Step 2 is to identify the locations, ideally for intraday traders. So definitely the previous day low, previous day high, and IB low, IB high. All those are the levels that where we can monitor the price when the price approaches to that particular level, or immediate support and resistance also can be tracked. Once you identify the locations, then we get into the entry and exit. So first thing is that we discussed about today. Discussed about absorption indicator that helps us to identify the absorption points in the market, and also with this we can identify the important swing points in the market where the market is taking immediate reversals, and we can use that information to identify the patterns within the market. All right. Point one. Point two, we can also use the absorption indicator in order to keep our stop losses trailing when the price moves in our direction when we take an entry. So as and when price continue to trade in our direction, we can simply keep our stop losses trail with respect to the absorptions. So that is where we can use it. And then I also discussed about the footprint charts, which will help us to identify the order flow information within a specific interval. So it gives us a profile of the interval, and then also it gives us it helps us to identify where the maximum number of orders are getting placed, and also identify the behavior of those orders. With respect to that, we can validate and invalidate our trades. All right. So there is one more point I want to discuss. Yeah, just a moment. There is a profile. Okay, as you can see, there is one more profile here. There are two profiles actually. One is current range volume profile. Okay, and session wise volume profile. Session wise volume profile indicates the entire session of the day. For example, this is an entire day's activity, right? So this shows the entire day's volume and volume behavior. So this is where we have the maximum number of transactions, and this is where we have a maximum number of accumulations as well. Okay, so with that sense, the session wise volume profile will help us to look at the overall volume profile for the entire day, entire range. And then we have a current range volume profile, which will help us to identify the range wise volume profile. For example, if I zoom in a bit, okay, so for this particular range where we can see the volume profile, so this is where the maximum number of orders are getting placed. So in most of the cases, we get this particular information using the point of control itself. So let me show you the setting of that. So the yellow line that you are seeing here, right? This yellow line is nothing but the point of control that we can enable. When you visit the session wise volume profile, just right click on it, configure column, and then show POC on chart. So if you just enable this, you'll be able to see the point of control chart. And this line is nothing but the price level where the maximum number of transactions are taking place. So until this point, there was no change in the point of control. So price was clearly moving in the downward direction, and point of control was here. But something happened when point of control changed here. That means the maximum number of transactions price level is shifted downward level. So point of control will help us to identify the acceptance of the price. One thing is that the moment of the price, and second thing is the acceptance of the price, that will be identified using the point of control. As and when the more and more volumes are getting accepted at the higher levels, that means there is a demand in the market. If the point of control is moving in the downward direction, that indicates a immediate downtrend. So point of control will also help us to identify the immediate change in terms of the overall trend. All right, so that one indicator also we can use it. Yeah, identify the immediate shift in the trend. Any questions? And all the indicator that I have discussed is available in Bookmap India. If you visit bookmap.truedata.in, so you'll be able to see the information that is the bookmap is being offered for Indian markets. So right now I'm using the Pro version, and it offers almost all the necessity indicators that I'm presently used. And there are so many other indicators as well. Today I haven't discussed about the correlation tracker. Point of control we have discussed. Cumulative volume delta I haven't discussed it, so maybe I'll try to discuss in some other session. So try to keep attending all the sessions, so you'll be able to learn so many things with respect to the dynamics of the market. All right, so if you have any particular questions, I'll try to answer. Well, so I hope today's information added value to you, and just give me a moment. Yeah. So I hope today's session added value to you. If you have any particular questions, feel free to ask them in the comment section. So this will be this particular session will be available for you to watch in the future as well. So once again, thank you so much for your wonderful time. The information that I've shared now so far is for educational purpose only. It is not any buy or sell recommendation. Please consider it as an information to learn and research purpose only. And yeah, thank you so much for your wonderful time. See you in the next session. Until then, take care. Bye bye. Jai Hind.